कर दो, सिर्फ जिन्हें बोलना हो अनम्यूट कर दो। एक कर दो। Yes, sir.
A very pleasant good morning to all. This is Kavita Sharma, Assistant Professor, Department of Botany, SSN College, Srinagar. Revered Principal, worthy guests, teachers, and dear students, I wish you a very warm welcome to all. It is an opportune moment to welcome all of you to this webinar. Now, I would like to welcome my special guest of the day, Dr. Dipankar Datta, Assistant Professor of University of Science and Technology, Meghalaya, and Dr. Jayas Vilgam, Department of Horticulture, Guru Nanak Dev University, Amritsar. Today is one such day for the premises of our college when the occasion of World Environment Day is being celebrated through this webinar on positive environment perspective during COVID-19. I think this is a great opportunity for all of us during this pandemic having the positive message through our respective dignitaries. By keeping in mind the importance of the topic, this webinar is planned under the kind supervision of our worthy principal, Dr. R.K. Tuli, who always shows great enthusiasm for these knowledge-based activities. I am heartfelt grateful to the worthy principal for his unconditional and never-ending support. I hope this webinar would be a great success and a platform for the knowledge to all. Now, I would like to have the pleasure to request to our worthy principal, sir, to kindly address the guest of the day.
Honorable guest, Dr. Jayas Vilgam, PhD consultant, horticulture, Guru Nanak Dev University, Amritsar.
पर एक मिनट सर वीडियो स्टॉप हो गई है ना दादी
Video stop.
एक तो सर दे फोन दी आईडी स्टार्ट करते
मेरी That's all. Huh? Huh? No, no. That's all. No.
तो नीचे स्टार्ट करो
Okay.
वीडियो पता नहीं सर दे फोन से ओह मैं कितने कर दिया मेरी
सर करिए स्टार्ट प्लीज
Okay.
न्यू दूसरे
Okay, just a minute. Honorable guest, Dr. Jayas Vilgam, PhD consultant, horticulture, Guru Nanak Dev University, Amritsar. Respected Dr. Dipankar Datta, Professor and Head, Department of Geology, University of Science and Technology, Meghalaya. Eminent scholars, honored guests, staff members, and dear students. It is really a great pleasure to welcome to all to the national webinar on positive environment perspective during COVID-19, organized by IQSC and Department of Botany of SSM College, Srinagar. The coronavirus pandemic is the most severe threat to human health in the history. The environment from local to global scale has witnessed many negative impacts. But in spite of the negative aspect, there are some positive effects on environment. The global lockdown have caused decline in population and provide an upside cleaner to global environment. This insight offer an opportunity that lead to viable path for the conservation of the environment through sensible policy and practice. Today, this webinar is planned to discuss the impact of coronavirus pandemic on human life, healthcare organization, and the environment. Now, I would like to take this opportunity to express my deep appreciation for Dr. Jayas Vilgam from Guru Nanak Dev University, Amritsar, and Dr. Dipankar Datta from University of Science and Technology, Meghalaya, for honoring us with their benign presence. I must mention and thank all the participants for joining this webinar to share their valuable experience. I deem it an honor to present a gracious welcome to our worthy guest, Dr. Jayas Vilgam. He has been a great literary source in the field of education, serving for more than 3 decades. His area of interest and expertise include planning, development, and consultancy, landscaping, nursing, flower and seed production. He is also a keen in the collection, multiplication, and plantation of the large number of species in the different plants. He introduced public-private partnership for the first time in India for the development and maintenance of horticulture. He is a man of unique, innovative bent of mind, as he has planned a supervised extension plantation in the urban local bodies in Punjab. He has done beautification of Golden Temple Garden, the Glera project, Amritsar. Dr. Bilka got opportunity to get exposure to many foreign places like Botanical Garden at University of California, USA, Italian Garden in Vatican City of Rome, Eiffel Tower of Garden and French landscaping and city horticultures, France and many places. Like he has participated in around 91 flower and garden shows organized in UK, Dubai and Holland. I am also grateful to our other special guests of the day who spare his valuable time for this event. As today, we are with the Dr. Dipankar Datta, Professor, Head Department of Geology, University of Science and Technology, Meghalaya. He has around 20 years of experience in the field of extension, research and teaching. He has a number of awards into his credit as a got Performance Faculty Award from USTM. He has worked on several projects sponsored by the different government bodies. He assisted a team of international scientists and researchers from Third School of Hepatology under Science and Engineering Research Board in 2009. He served as a GRF in an ASTEC sponsored project at Arya Vidyapeeth College, Guwahati. He was a team member of last Amphia of India, led by Professor S.D. Biju at the University of Delhi. He was a part of expedition cum research team for Herpetonia survey of Indo-Bhutan Manas trans-border landscape. He has been assigned as a NAC coordinator and Department of Geology, University of Science and Technology, Meghalaya. He has good amount of research work in his credit, as he has more than 30 publications in the various reputed national and international journals. His relentless endeavor keep us inspired to innovate and explore new way to explore a better future for our students. Today, we will have the talk of these scholar on the positive environment perspective during the COVID-19, and I extend my heartfelt gratitude to this scholar who raised the charm of the event with their benign presence. I hope you all will have the most productive hour of interesting and stimulating discussion. Thanks, sir.
Thank you very much, sir, for such a captivating talk and letting us know about the highlights of the college and achievements of our worthy guest. I would like to request Dr. Jayas Vilgam to share your expertise on positive environment perspective during COVID-19.
हेलो बिलगा सर, अपना माइक ऑफ कीजिएगा प्लीज। सर प्लीज माइक ऑफ कीजिए, माइक ऑफ कीजिए सर, आपकी आवाज़ नहीं आ रही सर। जी जी सर।
Hello.
हेलो सर।
Yes.
यस
I
सर।
was talking about the World Environment Day by the United Nations Organization. It was established during the year 1972. Accordingly, the first World Environment Day was organized in the United Nations with the theme that only one Earth. But when we go to the purpose of this Environment Day, that is encouraging awareness and options for the protection of environment. First of all, that 1974 it was organized in the United States for raising awareness on the environmental issues. What are the environmental issues? That is first, the most important is the overall environmental pollution, then marine pollution, global pollution, global warming, climate change, human population, urbanization, industrialization, agrochemicals, vehicular explosion, sustainable consumption, wildlife, crime, and deforestation. All these are the problems for the degradation of our environment, or we can say the pollution of our environment wherever we are living. But in generally, sometimes people ask what is meant by environment. Wherever we are working, wherever we are walking, wherever we are living, all around the space of our life, that is known as environments. So when that is polluted, then we think about its pollution control for the easy life of human. Then Environment Day, that is the global platform for public outreach that is done by the celebrated by the NGOs, community groups, government departments, religious bodies, and so many celebrities. I would आवाज हट गई देखी था उसे कट जा गया इधर
जी सर, आ रही है आवाज़।
हेलो
आ रही सर, आवाज़ आ रही है।
आ रही है So I would like to be bilingual, maybe in Punjabi and English both, because it's not easy for all the people to listen in English. When I was doing my higher secondary in my higher secondary school, Bilga, there was one optional subject that was I had taken gardening. Then I learned a lot from gardening, but immediate after that passing of my higher secondary part one, my uncle Dr. Madhu Singh was here from USA. He asked me what to do after this. Then I asked that I will do BSc non-medical, then B.Ed, and then I want to become a science master. But he told me on the other side, he took me to Punjab Agricultural University, Ludhiana, where I did my bachelor's in agriculture. That was the big C for plants and environment. Then my master's in landscaping and floriculture. That was the specialization in landscaping and beautification of our environment. So after that, I was teaching there itself in the Punjab Agricultural University for 3 years. After that, I joined municipal corporation as a landscape officer in Amritsar. All of my life, throughout my life, I had been working for the plantations and maintenance of the plants, maybe roadside plantations, maybe plantation in the parks, open spaces, all in the city roundabouts. But when we see the development, as we say, the modern development, that is the major cause of our environmental degradation. Then when the people ask what is the control measures for that, then we say that sustainable development must be there. We should first do this planning and designing for the area for different types of the human use. We should maintain or retain the plantations already there in the open soil, open area, and we should more add of trees and trees all around the new buildings and roads, so that we can say that is a sustainable environment. If we do even discuss about the development, that development what we are seeing all around our lives, that is meant for only 10 to 20% of the people, when all the degradation of the forestation is done. But development on the other hand side, maybe urban development, urban colonies, that is meant for the 10 to 20% people, but the sufferers are from 80 to 90% of the people, they are sufferers. There are so many now, if we go for the environmental education, I can say almost all the universities, all the colleges, even all the schools, they are having the different subjects about the environmental sciences, environmental studies. But very sorry to say that very few of the people, they are known actually about the environment. But otherwise, if we say for the saving or conservation of environment, then people do a lot of activities. As this World Environment Day is, we are also celebrating in the SSM college. But I would like the management of the college through Dr. Tuli for the plantation of this campus of SSM college, and we should also do the plantation in the Dinanagar city, so that our environment can be very healthy for the human life. Even sometimes I am surprised to see the degrees of the people, but they are not known about the plants, what to grow, where to grow. When we discuss about the contribution of the people, then our religious organizations, they are doing very good job. For example, in Punjab, Baba Seva Singh Ji, Kar Seva Khadur Sahab, they are working a lot of projects on this plantation works all along the road, their schools, their colleges. Even Baba Seva Singh Ji, they have started plantation in the personal houses of the people all around Khadur Sahab, and we can say in Tarn district, now they have a plan to have 550 sacred jungles, starting from the 550th birthday of Sri Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Among that chain, they have developed a 49th sacred jungle in our Guru Nanak Dev University, Amritsar, with the 50 varieties of the plants. Most of the plants, they are indigenous to Punjab. Otherwise, they are originated from Indian subcontinent. So that is the real contribution for the environmental conservation. Similarly, I would again request the organizers and all other my friends and we are very thankful to United Nations organization, because they have started since 2022 regarding the organization of the World Environment Days. Then our religious bodies, they are also doing a lot of plantations. Then I would like to discuss with the audience that people tree that is known as Brahma. Some people, they say it as Brahman, because the Brahma or Brahman, that is that name is given to the learned people, or whosoever they are having good merits. Similarly, people is gifted by the nature to give 24 hours oxygen to the people. I was going through Greening Chandigarh program planning, then I read there that people tree consumes 2200 kg of carbon dioxide in 1 hour. Then within 1 hour, people tree releases 1700 kgs of oxygen for the human life. We can just understand the importance of one people tree in 1 hour. Then you can calculate the contribution of people for 24 hours, then 1 month, then 1 year, then its life for 100 years, because people tree and banyan tree, these are the most important trees for our environmental conservation. Since my childhood, or we can say my young age in the school, we have learned that Triveni, that is people, banyan, and the neem. These are the three utmost species of the plant kingdom. They are useful for the environmental improvement. As I have already told that people is giving oxygen for 24 hours. Similarly, banyan is following the people very closely. It gives about 20 to 22 hours per day. But when we study the contribution of neem, that is very good for the antibiotic qualities of the neem. As I was living in one quarter in the Central University of Punjab before coming to Guru Nanak Dev University, Amritsar, there was one big tree in front of my quarter there. You will be very happy to know that during my 2.5 years stay in Bathinda, I have not to use any chemical for the control of mosquitoes, cockroaches, even flies in my house, because repellent qualities of neem tree in my house, they were sufficient for that environmental antibiotic quality improvement. When we go through religious books, all we are known regarding the teachings of Sri Guru Nanak Dev Ji, who said, Pavan Guru, Pani Pita, Mata, Tat Mahat. Now we are organizing these environmental days, but Guru Nanak told 500 years ago that we should respect Pavan, Pavan as Guru, Pani as Pita, Mata as Tarta. So we can just understand the depth of at that time saints of our religions. What was the importance of this Gurbani? International level, starting from 74 up to 2021, every year people are organizing environmental day throughout the world. And this year, particularly 2021, it was organized in Pakistan, where they have taken the slogan that ecosystem restoration for 1 decade. These are the pledges we are making every year in one city or the other city for the betterment of the climatic improvement, or we can say overall environmental improvement. Then along with the environmental days, people on the world level, they are also organizing the summits on climate change. One or the other idea of both of these summits or the environmental day, that is same for the conservation, or we can say the improvement of human environments. But now I will discuss something about the how we should improve, what we should do for the improvement of the environment, as we are celebrating this environmental day on today, that is 5th of June. Personally, I feel that whatsoever people are doing, maybe industrialization, maybe urbanization, but I stress on the plantation of more and more of trees. Then I would request the people to have our local species of the trees, that is a banyan, people, neem, mango, jamun, cirrus, shisham. Then if we add some of them as flowering trees, then gulmohar is there, jacaranda is there, Acacia fistula is there, amalthas. Then different shrubs are there. If we have some small areas in the schools or colleges, even in our houses, we can grow chandani, or we can grow Acacia species. Hibiscus is there, Tigoma stans is there, Jatropha is there, Hamlia is there, Mendi, Marua, Harsinga. These are the big shrubs. They are known for their fragrance as well as for long life also. Similarly, we can grow some climbers in our small areas. First of all, bougainvillea is the most important plant for our environment. There are so many varieties in bougainvilleas which are very easily growing in the tough to hard soils, even harsh climatic conditions. Bougainvillea is growing there. There are different varieties of bougainvillea that we can have in our houses or in our school or colleges. The first and most important variety of bougainvillea is known as Thema. That is 2 by 2. The leaves of bougainvillea, they are bicolor, that is green and yellow, and similarly its flowers are also bicolor, that is pink and white. The second most important variety of bougainvillea, that is known as shubra. It's pure white, looking like as snowfall during summer also. People are very happy to have this bougainvillea. Then one more bougainvillea is there, that Lady Mary bearing, that is yellow in color. Then different varieties of Mahara group, they are known as double bougainvilleas. But when we do plantation planning for the plantation on large scale plantations, then I have gone through the plantations all along the national highways or our state highways. When I observe their plantation, then that is most of the plants, they are deciduous, because plants shed their leaves during winter, but some of species, they shed their leaves even summer. For example, amalthas is flowering very beautifully during these days, but there are no leaves. But we need shade during the summer. On that planning concept, I would recommend the people or the government departments or even the schools and colleges that we should grow 80 to 85% of the trees which are environmental trees. Only 15 to 20% of the trees we can grow as ornamental trees. But when we talk about the environmental trees, then again I recommend their subdivision. We should grow 60 to 70% of the trees as evergreens. There are so many evergreen species of trees. Our mango is beautiful, jamun is beautiful, mulberry, beautiful evergreen tree. Then Putranjiva is equally good. Then Ficus elastica, that is a rubber plant. These trees, they are absorbing carbon dioxide throughout the 24 hours, then throughout the year, and we can get good oxygen also in through their conversion of carbon dioxide into oxygen. Then we say 30 to 5% of the trees we can use for their plantation, either along the railway tracks or roads. There are so many species of deciduous trees. Our shisham, that is the state tree of Punjab, beautiful tree, but it sheds leaves during winter. And there are mulberries, poplar is there, date, that is Milia jedrick is there, even Jedricta indica neem, that is also very good for environmental plantations, but it sheds its leaf for 1.5 months. So then I will go for climbers also. When we do plantation in small areas, then we can grow different climbers also. They are beautiful from their flowers, as well as they are improving the good climatic conditions also. First, I have already discussed that bougainvillea is there, then golden shower, beautiful with golden flowers, that is known as Bignonia binasta. Then Lasan bale is there, that is Adenoclima eliacum. Then different varieties of jasmine, they are grown as shrub or as well as they are grown as bushes. Then Quis quellis indica, that is commonly known as Rangoon creeper or Chumka bale. Beautiful climber that needs only 2 by 2 feet fit in our house or even our college or school. It climbs up to 3-story buildings. It gives you very cool and comfortable climate during summer, and flowering during summer. Then again during rainy season, it gives you also sweet fragrance for 3-4 months. Then there are different other climbers also. Passiflora is there, Climatus is there. Then yes, this Bohemia Behlai, that is very, very hardy and very heavy climber that can be grown along our walls or along the boundary walls, that gives you very green and white flowers. But now I will discuss about the plantation specifications, or I would also like to discuss regarding the indoor plants, because some of the houses, whenever I talk on the Doodars and Jalandhar, then the anchor, they are asking, Dr. Vilga, but we can grow in our house, that is only 200 yards house. we don't have sufficient open space, then I recommend them that you should grow pot plants in your house. There are different species, as so many videos are going viral during these days. Our commonly known as money plant, then areca palm is there, rhapis palm is there, Dracena is there, snake plant is there. They are very good for our indoor landscaping as well as improvement of our indoor environment. Some years back, IIT Kharagpur, they have conducted a research on indoor pollution. That is known as our indoor environment. That how indoor pollution is more dangerous for our health than even our environmental pollution outside the house. There are so many appliances in our house, and they are equally bad as well as good for our human life. We are using them for our convenience, but on the other hand side, they are not good for our health also. So we can have the indoor plants in our house. When we talk about the plantations, first of all, I would guide the audience and my friend that we should select the exact or more suitable species for our environment according to their use in our human life, as I have already said, for school, college, or roadsides. Then the proper season should also be selected. That is commonly known in Punjab, that is July and August, that is commonly known as Saun Bhadon. Then similarly, our Phagan Chet, that is January and February. If we do this plantation during these two seasons, that is very useful, and rather I should say that is very successful. We can get 90 to 100% success. Otherwise, if we do plantation during the wrong months, that is during summer or during extreme winter, that is not so successful. We will be getting failure in that. Then the second important part of the plantation success is the proper digging of the pits. When we do plantation of the trees, we should do 3 by 3 by 3. That is 27 cubic feet of the pit that is required for the proper growth, flowering, fruit formation, then seed formation for the trees. Then comes the soil mixture for the trees. When we do digging of the pits, then we are to mix 3 components in equal proportion. One is the good soil that we have digged from the pit. Then 1/3 of the farm yard manure, that is commonly known as gobar khad. Then 1/3 of our common sand that keeps the soil porous for the proper drainage of the water up to the depth of the trees. So then when we do before plantation, we should fill these pits after filling the mixture so that the soil get properly settled. Otherwise, when we do watering after the plantation of tree, then that tilting of the trees is there due to heavy rains or maybe heavy wind storms. If we do plantation after a proper settlement of the soil, that is very useful for our growth. Similarly, when we do plantation of the shrubs, we should get pits of 2 by 2 by 2, that is 8 cubic feet for the plantation of shrubs. Similarly, for the climbers, we should same have the pits 2 by 2 by 2. But before planting or before watering, the first watering of the trees, we should mix 5 to 10 milliliters of chloropyrifos. That is a very good chemical for the control of termites, so that our plants can be saved from that attack of termites. Then comes the maintenance of the plants after plantation. First of all, that is the replacement of the dead plants. When we do plantation of trees, shrubs, climbers, then 5 to 10% of casualties there. We should replace that casualties within no time so that we can have the proper and uniform growth of the trees in a single row or in a single garden, we can say. Then comes the proper watering of the plants. Depending upon the weather and climatic conditions, we should do regular watering. but during monsoons, plants are not requiring very regular watering. Similarly, when the plants are deciduous, they are shedding their leaves. Again, we need very little of watering. Otherwise, if we do watering, then they try to sprout, but that is not good for their plant physiology and the growth of the plants. Ultimately, their flowering and fruit formation is not very nice. Otherwise, normally we can say 10 to 15 days interval of this watering for trees. That is normal for the trees. Similarly, for shrubs and climbers, we should do the watering. Then plant protection. First, that is from the human activities. When we are doing plantations along the roads or in the college premises, then we have to save the trees from the human activities or along the road from the cattle. We have to provide cages. They are commonly known as tree guards all around, maybe made from the wooden structures, maybe made from the wire mesh. Then for the climbers, we have to provide the support when we are to grow the climbers, maybe that wire mesh, or if we are growing the climbers along the boundary wall, then we should have a this barbed wire along the wall so that climber they can climb up to the good height of the buildings to cover it from sun burning, or during winter they are also serving us from shelter from the extreme winter. As I have studied in Wisconsin State University of the United States, they have conducted research and resulted out that buildings which are covered all around with the plants, maybe trees, maybe shrubs, maybe climbers, then we need, or our electric bill that is reduced by 27%, because all plants they keep the environment cooler than as compared to the open environment. So similarly, our electric bill is reduced to 27% of the normal consumption of power. Then we talk about the plant protection from the different insects and chemicals. I would like to recommend or discuss with my audience that we should use minimum of the agrochemicals which are not very good for our health or our environment. Even in Guru Nanak Dev University, most of the plants we are spraying with the neem spray. We take 2 to 3 kg of neem leaves and then we get them boiled in one container. After that, we do sieving of the leaves and we get very good liquid that is known as neem liquid that is sprayed on the plants that keeps the insects under control up to 90-95%. Very few insects they are which they are resistant to chemicals or this neem. They are there, but normally we can control the insecticides up to 90-95% with the neem oil. When we have this neem spray, otherwise we can also have neem oil. Even neem cakes, they are used for the soil fertilization as well as for the control of our insects, whosoever they are living in the soil. So then at the end, I would request my audience, particularly Dr. Tuli Sahab, to organize plantation campaigns in our college so that our students and teachers, they can be intact and they should come to know how to prepare the pits, how to prepare the soil mixture, then how to do this plantation, then what care we should do after this plantation of the trees. So that's all. With all this, I thanks the organizers and I congratulate the faculty and principal of this SSM College, Dinanagar. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for such an interesting session. It was knowledgeable for all of us.
Thank you.
Before going ahead, I must ask to the audience if they have any query, you can ask.
And there is no query. There is only appreciation. Nice, informative session, good information, good knowledge provided by the speaker. No query, ma'am. Let's carry on. Kavita, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you
Thank you,
very
ma'am.
much,
Thank
sir.
you.
Let's start the second session with Dr. Dipankar Datta, Assistant Professor of Science and Technology, Meghalaya.
दोनों की आवाज आ रही है, बोलना।
पंकज सर अनम्यूट कीजिए सर।
Hello, am I audible now?
Yes, yes, sir. You are audible, sir.
A very good afternoon, respected Dr. R.K. Tulisa, Principal, SSM College, the honorary speaker, first speaker, Dr. Bilkhaji, and I'm really honored to share this stage with him because after a wonderful talk and immense knowledge that he has showered on the plant diversity and the kind of various informations related to things on this World Environment Day. Slightly, I have kept my talk a little bit basic in connection to make with the student friends, basically. So I'd like to share my screen and we'll begin. Hope I... So is my screen visible, ma'am? Is the screen visible?
Yes, sir. Visible, sir.
Okay. So very basically, what I am preferring is to discuss very basic things about the environment, the role of viruses in our environment, and the current pandemic. So let us see how do we connect everything. So at the very beginning, let us begin with the understanding of the word environment. So environment includes the living and non-living things that an organism interacts with or has an effect onto. Environment plays an important role in the healthy living and the existence of life on planet Earth. Earth is a home for different living species, and we all are dependent on the environment for food, air, water, and other needs. Therefore, it is important for every individual to save and protect the environment in which we are living. When we're talking about the components, the basic components of the environment can be broadly divided into the physical and the biotic environment, the atmosphere or the air, the lithosphere or the rocks and soil, hydrosphere or the water included under the physical components, whereas the living component of the environment are the biosphere. So our environment is our ecosystem as a whole. Now, if we try to relate this picture that I have put, all the organisms, right from the individual level to the entire earth that we live in, has a role and relation to play with one another. So now, if we think that the individual or the organisms or the species are those entities which interbreed among themselves. And if I'm talking about the animals, unlike plants, they tend to be very definite with this term because some plants can crossbreed with other fertile plants. Now, when we are talking about the population, a group of individuals of a given species that live in a specific geographic area at a given time can be called as a population, whereas a community includes all the populations in a specific area at a given time. A community includes populations of organisms of different species. A great community usually includes biodiversity. And when the most commonly used term when we talk about under the biological studies, ecosystems include more than a community of living organisms which has the biotic interacting with the environment, the abiotic component. At this level, they depend on the other abiotic factors such as the rock, water, air, and temperature. And when we're talking about the biome, in simple terms, it is a set of ecosystems sharing similar characteristics with their abiotic factors adapted to their environment. And lastly, biospheres, we consider all the different biomes, each blending into one another, living in many different geographical areas. We form a huge community of animals, plants, and microorganisms in their defined habitats. A biosphere is the sum total of all the ecosystems established on planet Earth. It is the living and decaying component of the Earth which makes it a complete system. So we have already seen this, a pictorial diagram of the ecosystem which relates with one another. And if we talk about the components of the ecosystem, the components of the ecosystem can be broadly divided into the biotic and the abiotic factors. The biotic and the abiotic factors are the two essential factors responsible for shaping the ecosystem. The biotic factors refer to all the living beings present in an ecosystem, and the abiotic factors refer to all the non-living components like physical conditions, temperature, pH, humidity, salinity, sunlight, and chemical agents like gaseous mineral nutrients present in the air, water, soil, etc. in an ecosystem. Therefore, both the biotic components and the abiotic components are necessary for survival and reproduction process. To continue. Now, if we talk about the different components of the biotic factors, we can broadly divide the biotic components into producers, consumers, and decomposers. Now, when we talk about the producers, producers are organisms that make their own food. They are also known as autotrophs. They get energy from chemicals of the sun and with the help of water, convert that energy into usable energy in the form of sugar or food. The most common example of a producer are the plants. And that is why plants are so very important in this nature. Now, when we talk about the consumers, consumer is a group of individuals or organisms that belongs within the food chain of an ecosystem. It refers predominantly to the animals because consumers are unable to make their own energy and instead rely on the consumption of food and digestion of producers or other consumers or both to survive. And again, basically the consumers can be divided into herbivores, carnivores, omnivores, decomposers, and retrivores. Now, if we talk about the decomposers, it is another very important and essential component of the ecosystem, because every organism in this living organism in this world is motile. That is why a decomposer is an organism that decomposes or breaks down the organic material, such as the remains of the dead organisms. Decomposers include bacteria and fungi. These organisms carry out the process of decomposition, which all organisms undergo after death. Now, if we talk about another very important and crucial factor of an ecosystem functioning is the food chain. A food chain is a linear sequence of organisms through which nutrients and energy pass on from one organism to another. In a food chain, each organism occupies a different trophic level defined by how many energy transfer separate it from the basic unit of the chain. And here in the diagram, you can see the primary consumer or the grasshopper takes all its nourishment from the producer of the plants, whereas the frog, which acts as a secondary consumer, eats the primary consumer, that is the grasshopper, whereas the snake, the tertiary consumer, is the frog, and the hawk, the final consumer, eating the snake to continue getting energy via the different trophic level. And later, the decomposers, the fungi, can decompose the hawk even after its death. Now, if we talk about the food web, a food web in the natural interconnection of food chains and is a representation of what eats what in an ecological community. Food web is a simplified illustration of the various methods of feeding into an system, usually has two different types of food web: a grazing food web and photosynthetic, and a detrital food chain based on decomposers. Food web is an important conceptual tool for understanding the feeding relationship among species within a community, revealing species interaction and community structure, and understanding the dynamics of energy transfer in an ecosystem. Now, when we are talking about the dynamics of energy transfer, so we know that the energy keeps flowing from the primary producers to the tertiary consumers, which are the heterotrophs or the top level of the pyramid. And this is how energy flows through living things within an ecosystem. All the living organisms can be organized into producers and consumers, and those producers and consumers can further be organized into a food chain. Each of the levels within the food chain is a trophic level, and only 10% of the energy is absorbed to the next level. Finally, this is when we are talking about the ecological succession, the ecosystem, we cannot end without talking about ecological succession. Ecological succession is the steady and gradual change in a species of a given area with respect to the changing environment. It is a predictable change and is an inevitable process of nature, as all the biotic components have to keep up with the changes in an environment. And that is why we need to continuously keep changing in terms of evolution. Now, when we have understood what the ecosystem and the environment functions, how the environment functions, let us understand what role the virus play in the environment. Here, as you can see, the viruses, I have tried to depreciate the different types of viruses that can be found in an environment: the helical, the polyhedral, the spherical, and the complex or the bacteriophage structure that we can find. Now, viruses are important microbial predators that influence global biogeochemical cycles and microbial evolution, although their impact is often underappreciated. Viruses reproduce after attaching and transferring their genetic material into a host cell. The host cellular machinery is then redirected to the making of more virus and results in the death of the host cell in the vast majority of the cases. Viruses have developed intriguing mechanisms to utilize host proteins for their own defense and for shifting metabolism from host to viruses. Now, if we talk about some of the numbers, how, if we want to talk about numbers, then globally, there are an estimated 1 to 10 to the power 31 virus-like particles in this nature. Currently, it is thought that most of the viruses are phases, as the diagram already depreciated before, but archaeal and eukaryotic viruses are certainly important components of most ecosystems. Since the average half-life of free viruses in the environment or ecosystem is around 48 hours. Therefore, an estimated 1 into 10 to the power 27 viruses are produced every minute. This means that roughly 1 into 10 to the power 25 microbes, or about 100 million metric tons, die every second due to viruses. Viral predation in combination with protist grazing is able to maintain microbial numbers at values less than the carrying capacity of the system, and as such plays an important role in controlling the microbial community. Therefore, we understand that the viruses are very important components in maintaining the carrying capacity of the microbes in an ecosystem. Much of our knowledge about the roles of viruses in natural environment comes from studies in marine microbial or communities. In the world's ocean, about half of the organic matter produced by photosynthesis supports the production of new heterotrophic microbes, both bacteria and archaea. Viruses and protists then kill roughly equal proportions of these new heterotrophic microbes. The lysed cells become dissolved organic matter, which can be used by other heterotrophic bacteria. This means that the viral mediated mortality increases net respiration, the release of carbon dioxide and nutrient recycling in the world's ocean. Viruses and their microbial prey are extremely diverse, abundant, and active in marine sediments. Moreover, viruses affect primary productivity by killing diatoms, dinoflagellates, and cyanobacteria, as well by releasing nutrients. Thus, virus can account for a very significant part of the ocean's carbon cycling. Now, if we see, the viruses are not only present in the ocean, but viruses seem to be ubiquitous and have been reported from any environment where life is present, from freshwater to the sands of the Sahara Desert. However, very little is known of the ecological roles of viruses in most ecosystems. In soils, potentially the biggest biosphere on the planet, most viral studies have connected on estimating their abundance and taxonomy. Viruses are associated with even the rhizoscope. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, you are audible, sir. Hello? I think there is a connectivity issue, sir. The slides
Yes.
are not being removed.
Hello.
Hello, sir. You are audible, sir.
अच्छा ठीक है ठीक
सर स्लाइड शो में चले जाइए, करंट स्लाइड से शो कर दीजिए.
अभी दिखाई दे रहा है? Is it visible?
सर स्लाइड अभी विजिबल है.
The slides are moving.
नो सर, स्लाइड शो है, ऊपर कैप्शन है एनिमेशन के साथ में. स्लाइड शो को करके करंट स्लाइड से मूव कर दीजिए. यस डन सर. डन सर.
Okay.
स्लाइड्स
ठीक
जी सर.
सिर्फ एक बार देख लीजिए if the slides are moving.
जी जी सर, कर्सर से आप नेक्स्ट करते जाइए, मूव करती जाएगी अभी.
ठीक ठीक
जी जी सर. Thank you, sir.
Okay, now we have seen that. So I'm very sorry if the slides were not visible. Unfortunately, I could not show you. But after the talk, if possible, I can hand over the PPTs, and if people are interested, it can be shared. I'll share that with the college authorities. Anyways, we have seen that the viruses are not only present in the marine ecosystem, but the viruses are reported from any environment where life is present, right from freshwater to the sands of the Sahara Desert. But very little is known ecological roles in most of the ecosystems. Viruses are associated with, in fact, the rhizophore of plants, and are also common in some of the harshest environment of the planet, ranging from the hot spring to hypersaline waters. In many of these extreme ecosystems, viruses are not only known microbial predators. Now, if we talk about the metagenomic analysis of natural communities and man-made created niches have shown that viruses are extremely diverse and novel. Now, this word, we are very we are hearing this novel coronavirus, the novel. What does this word novel means? Novel means something which is new to the knowledge of the research. So novel means new. Now, continue. For example, 1 kg of marine sediment may contain over 1,000,000 different viral types, and 200 liters of seawater may contain about 500 viral strains, and there may be at least 1,000 different viruses living in the human gut. In fact, according to a study by Brewer et al. In 2003, the vast majority, more than 70% of the genetic material carried by these viruses is completely uncharacterized, and natural viral communities probably represent the largest unexplored area of genetic information space left on the planet. Metagenomic analysis of the blood have also shown that healthy humans can carry a number of novel unknown viruses, including phage, to known pathogens. The impact of these viruses on the human health is currently unknown, but we can expect an explosion of research in this area over the next couple of years or a decade. Now, in addition to the influence on biogeochemical cycles, viruses drive microbial evolution by natural selection for microbes resistant to infection and via lateral gene transfer. Many viruses are strain-specific predators. Therefore, as a particular microbial strain becomes dominant in a system, its viral predators will expand exponentially and kill it off. This will leave a niche for another microbial strain to grow into, which will be subsequently killed off by another viral type. This means that the dominant microbial species within a system will be constantly turned over. This kill the winner hypothesis may be explained much of the observed microbial diversity and changes in community structure according to Thiesent 2000. Viruses are also important exchangers of genetic information between hosts because they inject the genome into the host cell. For example, most of the completely sequenced microbial genome contain proviral sequences. Now, what are these proviral sequences? Proviruses are the viruses that have integrated their genome into the host genome and are replicated with the host. Most proviruses can become active at a later date and subsequently end up killing their host. Many proviruses also express genes which are dramatically I think I lost my connection. because it has been raining here continuously. Sorry for the inconvenience. So is the slide visible now, ma'am?
It's visible, sir.
Thank you. So most viruses move ecologically important genes from host to host. That means from one organism to or one individual to the another. Viruses not only move genes from one organism to another, but they are also able to move genetic material between ecosystems. Some viral sequences have been found to be ubiquitously spread throughout the biosphere. This is also evidence that viruses from one environment can successfully infect and replicate microbes from unrelated environment. These results provide support that viruses can move throughout the world and move genes between ecosystems. Now, when we talk about this picture, I believe all of you have seen pictures last year when it was viral. These pictures are from the infamous meat market of Wuhan province in China, from where it is believed, according to a theory, that the coronavirus erupted from this market. Now, let us relate the coronavirus with the environmental conditions or the ecosystems now. So coronavirus, when we say, can infect a wide range of hosts such as cattle, pigs, horses, turkeys, cats, rats, dogs, and in fact humans. These viruses can cause serious disease in humans such as severe acute respiratory syndrome or the SARS virus and pneumonia and other mild diseases such as common cold and as well as those affecting the gut. The first isolation of the coronavirus took place in 1937 from birds infected with the infectious bronchitis virus, which is capable of devastating poultry stock. Coronaviruses are the cause of about 15 to 30% of common cold. Now, if we see about the taxonomy or the virological classification, coronavirus comes under the order Nidovirilis and the family Coronaviridae and the subfamily Coronavirini. Due to the presence of spikes on their surface, the viruses possess a crown-shaped structure and hence the prefix corona, which means crown in Latin, and their naming as coronaviruses. Coronaviruses can be divided into alpha, beta, gamma, and delta subgroups according to the genomic structure. The first two groups infect only mammals, that is the alpha and the beta, including inducing respiratory disorders in humans and gastroenteritis in animals. The first identification of coronavirus or the human coronavirus occurred in 1960s. As you can see, we are now in 2021 or 2020 last year, talking about a pandemic. which has devastated the entire earth and created a havoc. But the first coronaviruses was identified in the human body back in 1960. But because of negligence, we are yet to take a serious concern about it. And it is very prevalent in nature. There are two common coronaviruses, and the strains can be named as OC43 and 229E, which are responsible for a large proportion of common colds. Among humans, infection mostly occurs during winter and early spring. It is common, for instance, of sickness to recur for the same person, as one could become ill because of coronavirus and then catch it again within 4 months later. This is possible because coronavirus antibodies do not last for a very long time. Now, if we see, the coronaviruses are a subfamily of a single stranded RNA. They are large and enveloped viruses from its genera beta, alpha, delta, and gamma. Beta and alpha coronaviruses can infect humans, as we have already known that the alpha and beta strain are generally found in mammals. So as in human, they are also present. The genomic RNA of the virus is generated inside the cytoplasm, replicated, and then the genomic RNA binds to the nucleocapsid proteins and glycoproteins envelope to form virion containing vesicles. Following that, the viruses are released outside the cell by fusion with the plasma membrane. Many previous coronavirus epidemics have been recorded, such as the severe acute respiratory syndrome was seen in 2002 and 2003, which caused about 10% of the mortality among the infected people. And the Middle East respiratory syndrome, or the MERS-CoV, which appeared in 2012 with 37% mortality. And this virus is about the current condition when we are talking about the coronavirus, the current strain, which is creating a havoc. This disease is caused by SARS coronavirus 2, which has been detected in 2002, and the virus is antigenically related to the SARS-CoV, depending on clinical, serological, and molecular findings. And thus, the new strain, which was found last year or in 2019 specifically, has been named as SARS-CoV-2. Now we can see that according to the phylogenetic analysis, the receptor binding domain of SARS-CoV-2 appears to be a mutated strain of its most closely related bad virus, which is known as Rhinophilus affinis. And because of that, previously, when the coronavirus erupted in 2019 or in the early part of 2020, there was a large instances of people killing the bats, thinking it to be bats are the sources of the coronavirus. But again, this is a misconception that bats do not spread coronaviruses. And moreover, has to be infected first, then to infect the humans, which we say that the zoonotics. So due to this close relation, the SARS-CoV-2 was believed to infect people from bats after mutation. This mutation upregulated the receptor binding affinity to angiotensin converting enzyme 2 in humans and some animals like ferrets and the Malayan pangolin, an anteater mammal, which is illegally sold for traditional use again in China, where it acts as an intermediate host for SARS-CoV-2 and decreased the affinity of RBD to AC2 found in civets and rodents. According to a study by G et al. In 2020, it was suggested that snakes can also be an intermediate host. Now, when we are talking about an intermediate host, what is an intermediate host? Now, basically, during any pathogenic transmission to the humans, which we say as zoonotic disease, that means the virus or the pathogen transfers via an animal. When there is only a primary organism, then it is the primary host. And when the viruses passes through an intermediate category. And another important thing is that the moment it enters multiple organisms, the viruses are also getting mutated accordingly. As we have already understood that the RNA strain, when enters the body of the host, it binds with the genome of the host and mutate itself. Thus, another study proposed that pangolins are the prospect intermediate host of SARS-CoV-2, depending on 99% match in the genetic identity between the coronavirus discovered in pangolins and SARS-CoV-2. Now here you can see a diagrammatic representation which illustrates the transmission of coronavirus, SARS-CoV and MERS-CoV directly to humans from civet cats and dromedary camels respectively. But again, even in this pandemic, we have been, as we see from the pictures of the Wuhan meat market, we have been exploiting the nature continuously. Now, as I have started from the very basics, we have understood all these animals were never part of the food chain or the food for the humans. And in due course of time, the humans started eating a varieties of organisms, animals to so as we the humans have exploited nature, similarly these viruses also which were present or prevalent in the previously got mutated repeatedly after entering the whole various organisms traits to the human. The current picture that you can see in screen are I'm sorry again. I'm sorry again. It has been extremely a rainy weather here. So again, ma'am, can you please confirm Sir, if the screen is visible.
Yes, sir. Screen is visible.
Okay, thank you. So we can see that we have destroyed our oceans, we have destroyed our habitat, we have destroyed our ecosystem by throwing all the waste products here and there and polluted each and every system of the environment. But even in this pandemic, this is the scenario where all the masks, gloves, other kits which have been used in the current pandemic situation has been thrown away. And these things, if you see, this is the nest of a common coat, as you can see in the screen, which was partly built with face mask and gloves. So it indicates that the waste materials are spread each and everywhere in our atmosphere, and we are still not concerned about the nature even after this terrific blow from Mother Earth. Again, as you can see, a perch got entrapped in a glove, and an American robin is a victim of COVID-19 litter face mask. Thus, let us all pledge together to move forward for an sustainable environment where we can use green energy, renewable energy, treat our wastewater, recycle our waste products, believe in eco-restoration, and all these things can be possible only with the cooperation of all the international societies together. Now again, with this picture, I want to draw your attention that very recently, in last month, May 22, this village, which is named as Konoma, is located in Nagaland, a state in the Northeast India, has won India's Best Biodiversity Award in the category of sustainable use of biological resources. So we should inspire and learn from these instances and make our future very secure for our future generations. And here at the end, I would like to show some of the photographs of our university, which is located in a serene environment among the hillocks in the hills of Meghalaya, River district. So here, thanking you. And here I present my email ID and phone numbers. And if there is any query or any literature, if any audience would like to request, I would love to share with them. So with this, thank you everyone. Thank you audience, thank you SSM College.
Thank you so much, sir, for such an interesting session. Dr. Dipankar Datta, Assistant Professor of Science and Technology, Meghalaya, for making an excellent presentation and making this webinar a very meaningful and interesting. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. And I'm really honored to be a part of this program, and hope I could connect everyone with the presentation. And I'm sorry for the inconvenience because of poor network connectivity because of bad weather that is prevailing in this part of the country. Thank you everyone.
Thank you so much, sir, once again. I truly appreciate you and time you have spent in this seminar. So it's time for vote of thanks on the behalf of SSN College. I am obliged to all of you who sincerely committed to this event to make it great success. This whole session was very knowledgeable for all of us, and I hope we all will implement it in our future. So this webinar would have been impossible without the support of each and everyone present here. So thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much, ma'am, and thank you so much, sir. The feedback link will be provided on your WhatsApp and Telegram groups. So thanks for this virtual session. On the behalf of SSM College, we would like to thank all the participants, resource persons, Ma'am Kavita ji, Dr. Dipankar Datta ji, Dr. Bilga sir. Thanks to all of you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.